$15 nice dress shirt.
My whole goal is to outdress Nikki Voncich and why am I forgetting your name? Rodney. I was going to call you Rob. I'm having a seizure for less than a quarter of the price. That's my goal.
Nice. Okay, so
Price Tuesday at Art on the store there. The Ruth Art is
The art?
I think they've got a senior Tuesday.
ooh, wow. You're only like 3 years away from AARP. I mean,
I will say I have a lot of returns that go back too.
okay, so let's talk about the people that went to family reunion. What did you hear? What was the message? Nothing?
AI is the future.
AI is the future. Tell me about that. Like, what do you mean by that?
Learn it, use it, or you will be overtaken by everybody else who does.
Okay. Hang on, I'm turning something on here.
Well, there seems to be disagreement. There was a few people saying that it wasn't the future, that, our human contact will always be a priority or necessary for real estate. And that's true, but then in order to reach a greater amount of people, we need to be on social media and use AI and use these new tools.
Yeah. I think what I heard was the agents, so AI is not going to replace agents,
No.
but the agents that use AI are going to replace agents that are not. Okay? I think that was kind of one of the overwhelming messages I've heard.
I think the quote I liked the best was, AI will replace you if you let AI replace you.
Oh, yes.
And I thought that one hit me hard because with my social, I've been using a lot of AI, probably too much. And so like I'm gonna dial. I'm still gonna use it, but I'm not gonna use it as much or as aggressively as I was until because I don't want the customer to feel disingenuous.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, you're still reading the book, AI Leader or whatever it was called, right? Yeah. I think the message is kind of the same. It's like, it's not that it's going to replace us because, you think about it, one of the things that you all are really aware of that uses AI is the Zestimate in Zillow, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And so what they're basically doing is AI is just accumulating information and packaging it and giving you an outcome, right? And so at the end of the day, how often is the Zestimate wrong?
100%.
Yeah. I mean, it's a guess. And so really what happens is you need agents to come in and use their expertise, their experience, their knowledge of, if it's on this block, it's worth more than if it's on this block, and so and so. And so I think what, AI is being used for right now maybe is not what its best purpose is for our industry, okay? To give you an example, there's an agent in the downtown office who came to me a couple weeks ago and he was really struggling. And I said, well, what are you doing? And he said, the same thing I've always done, which is open houses. I go do open houses and, I'm not getting any results. And I said, well, tell me about the last couple open houses you had. And he said, well, the last open house that I had 30 people come through and I didn't convert anybody. And I said, okay, well, what do you think you're doing wrong? And he goes, I don't know, I'm doing the same thing I've always done. And I said, that's the problem. Why don't you go on to AI and go in and say, put in this prompt, say, I'm an agent in Denver, Colorado who does open houses and not having a lot of success recently. I want you to be my thought partner to help me come up with some ideas of how to get better results. Ask me one question at a time about what I'm doing now, and then create a plan for me that is going to be more effective. Okay? And so then he hit enter and question pops up and AI starts asking him questions about what he's doing. And then at the end, AI comes up with an actual plan for him to do it a little differently. And so he came to me and he said, you know what? I've been selling real estate for 20 years and I thought I knew what I was doing, and I have no idea what I'm doing compared to what people are doing today. And so that's how you can effectively use AI, I think, in your business. Is if you want to, find a way to be more effective in what you're doing, just ask AI to help you. Ask them to interview you and ask them to help you come up with a good plan. But I think what a lot of agents are doing is they're using AI to write emails for them, or they're using AI to create some sort of marketing piece. But really what I think you really need to use AI for is a thought partner. Okay? Come up with ways that this person can be your best consultant that you have. Best consultant in the industry, really. Okay? The family reunion was very heavy on social media. In fact, one of the comments that I heard was it was the highest attended family reunion since COVID. There's over 11,000 people there. And the reason why is because it focused on social media. So agents are trying to figure out a way to use social media to get more business. And the reality of it is, Gary stood on stage for the 20th year in a row, and he said over 60% of the business, people pick an agent they know or that they were referred to. And like 10% of the people are actually picking somebody online. Now, the people that are picking somebody online, the vast majority of those people are picking somebody because it's in a market that they're not currently living in. So they're saying, I'm moving to Littleton, Colorado, and so who are the best agents in Littleton, Colorado? The question is, do you guys show up? Because you may not get 100 deals from that, but you may get a few. And I think the other thing that really wasn't talked about a lot was the effect of your social media being another marketing piece to actually generate business from your sphere of influence. Now think about it, like if you know 100 people that are in your database that you're marketing to, they probably also know 100 people. So if you know 100 and each of those people know 100, how many people do you have access to? Who's the math person? 10,000. 10,000 people you have access to. Now let's say 5% of those people move on an annual basis. How many deals is that? 500. You have 500 deals that you have access to with just 100 people. Now, here's the strategy for you guys. Okay? Instead of trying to get 100 people or 500 people to take notice, so if you have 100 people in your database and 5 of them are going to move, you don't know who those 5 are. Instead of doing that, go figure out how many people you need to have in order to get one referral from each of those 100 people in order for you to reach your goals. So if you want to do 25 deals this year, then you need 25 people to get you referrals. So what's your plan look like to get 25 people to be advocates for you, so when one of their 5 people that they are going to know are going to buy and sell real estate decide that they need an agent, that they think of you and refer you to that person? I think that's the plan that we miss. We're constantly marketing to a database to try and get just the business from the database, but what we really need to do is market to go find the 25 people out there that could be our advocates that are going to refer us people. And what does that look like? What do you guys think that would look like? How can you get 25 people to be your advocate? What's that? Host an event. Okay.
Just tell them that they're send cards, drink special.
What do you guys do now when you get a referral? Call and thank them? Why are you smiling?
Definitely not send them a gift card.
No, you can do it on the lead. You can't do it on the closing.
What do you mean on a lead?
You can reward leads, because leads are, it's not just quid pro quo.
Yes, I send a gift card.
Hey, listen.
Perfectly.
I'm gonna give a disclosure here that anything I say after this point, I'm not saying that it's legal or illegal, but we can't really go through this business worrying about like taking care of people that take care of us. You know what I mean? So in other words, if somebody gives you a referral, you should give them something back. Or you should do something for them. You know, what if you had 25 business owners and those were your 25 advocates and all you did was help them try and actually build their business? And maybe you do that first. Who knows a business owner right now, other than real estate agents? Okay, what kind of business do they own? Restaurant? Demolition company, okay? Plumber. HVAC. Glass repair? I mean, these sound like people that we actually need in our business, right? So what if you could refer them people before you expect to get referrals back from them? Okay?
How about the guys we use every day, like inspectors?
Inspectors. They buy houses too, and they know people who do also. If they know 100 people, 5 of the people that they know are gonna raise their hand and say, I'm buying a house or selling a house. See, I think the message of the social media, especially some of the stuff on YouTube, like I think you guys ought to pay attention a little bit to YouTube because number one, agents aren't using it. Everybody's using Instagram. And Instagram, has it gotten a little tougher lately to get noticed? I mean, I think it's getting so competitive. I mean, every time I go on my Instagram feed, it's either golden retrievers or real estate. Okay? And so like, I think Instagram is maybe getting a little bit oversaturated, and a lot of people that I talked to out in Atlanta said that, but YouTube is wide open. And I think the other part of it is, you know, people buy a community, they don't buy a house. Okay, they buy a house in a community. They say, I want to live in Littleton, Colorado, for example, and they buy a community. So really what your job is on YouTube is to tell everybody the story of the community that you want to represent. And just because they contact you because they think that they might want to live in Littleton, Colorado, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to move to Littleton, Colorado. That's where they think they want to move to, but it may not be the best place. You know, somebody could see a post on Littleton, Colorado in downtown Littleton and see the walkability of all those restaurants and everything and not realize that there maybe is a better neighborhood for that. For example, Washington Park. Okay? It just gets you into the door. And what Gary's stats showed was if you get into the door first with a buyer, you have like a 70% chance of getting that buyer. And if you are the second person in, you still have a chance, but if you're the third, you've got 0 chance. Your job is to be number 1, or at the very least to be number 2. So when they think about the community that you represent, they think about you. So go and tell the story. You know, I'm gonna teach a YouTube class. I went to 3 YouTube classes at Family Reunion, and it's really not hard. You just have to be willing to start. Do that. Okay? And then start creating a few videos. A lot of you guys are doing videos anyway. So why not put them on YouTube also?
Are you focusing on shorts or longs?
Doesn't matter. Both work.
Well, the other reason, and I don't remember who it was, but they said that Gemini, right, is probably going to become the dominant AI. Gemini is owned by Google. Google owns YouTube. So if somebody searches who's the top real estate agent in Littleton, Colorado, it's going to go to your Google reviews and your YouTube channels to determine that answer, right?
It's at least gonna include that information in their search. The same guy who said that was also saying that whether your content feels awesome to you or not, just having those Instagram posts, those TikTok reels, it all lends credibility to you as that top person. If you're something that has been taking us a long time in this too, have you guys done an audit on your web presence?
It's embarrassing.
It's intense. My name was spelled 3 different kinds of ways. I'm a realtor out of Arvada. I've never sold a house in Arvada. Like, I have no idea where the internet is getting all this stuff from, but
Did you ask AI to do the audit, or how did you do it?
No, I got advice from somebody on how to do it, and then I made Allison.
Wow.
This is it on your webpage?
Not my webpage, the
I can see
internet.
that.
Okay.
Look yourself up and see how many different places you are. They said
This is the
name,
shift that you need to
address, and phone number.
Spelled the same.
That's if you just go to AI.
It's exactly the same.
Where is he? Yeah.
So this guy, and that's a good point. Like all of your Instagram handles need to be the same. Okay? And all of your contact information on all your social media channels, all your social media channels need to be the same for your contact info, for your address, for like your bio, like everything needs to be the same on everything. That was a point that was definitely made in all the social media stuff that I saw.
And the reason is the credibility with the AI search bots.
Yeah, they don't like chaos, basically.
Right, you lose credibility if you seem like you're maybe this person or that person or that person
Right.
at this address or that address.
Yeah, this guy, Will Sawyer, he's in Greenville, South Carolina. What I would maybe do if I were you, if you want to get into a little bit of YouTube content, is go look at his channel, okay? This guy, he actually did 80 deals last year off of YouTube. Now, I know what you're thinking. He's been doing it for a long time.
And he's old.
Okay. He started real estate when he was 24. At 26, he almost got out of the business and he said, I'm going to give this YouTube thing 6 months. He's 28 now, so he's been doing it for 2 years, and he did 80 deals last year off of YouTube.
Does he share content?
Does he share it? I don't know. I mean,
Just
here's what he said. He said, just copy what I did. Now, what you're gonna see is like some of these are a little fancier because now he's making money and he's paying somebody. But go back and watch his first videos. You're gonna be like, I wouldn't post that. But he did. And 3 weeks after his first posting, he got a lead. And he closed it. Okay? And it was $2 million. Okay? He also got an $8 million house that he sold off of YouTube from somebody who wanted to buy a house in, I can't remember if it was a lake or a beach or something, wherever he was. But like, this guy's 28 and he's not doing anything that you guys can't do. And so go check out his stuff, because I think what you're gonna find is it's a lot easier than what you think. And the key is, like I'll give you guys all the notes and everything that I have of what he said, but there's a process you need to use when you're doing videos. But I think you're gonna find that the leads, and everybody said the leads on YouTube are a lot better because of the Google aspect of it. It's the number 2 biggest search engine right now, next to Google. Okay. All right. Any other ahas from family reunion? Yeah.
I really liked, the guy in the story brand.
Oh yeah.
Donald Miller, that guy was gold in my book. He had some of the best insights. And the thing that I really took away the most from him is low cognitive load. When you're delivering a message, you just have to understand that pretty much society-wide, people are pretty stupid. I can say that bluntly, but people relate better with bumper stickers than your wordy message. How can you distill your message down into a few words that capture their attention? He referred to it as low cognitive load.
Yeah.
You know, and that was just like, he basically, again, not to get political as he said, but Jeb Bush was way more qualified to win the Republican primary that Donald Trump pushed him out in. He had actually written a book on immigration and all this stuff, but Donald Trump beat him because his entire campaign was bumper sticker quotes. And that low cognitive load resonates with a much wider spectrum of society. So whatever your story is, whatever you're trying to tell somebody, try to distill it down into just a few words.
Yeah.
Well, and, to piggyback on that, and then we got to see Jay Shetty present. And the big aha, and I saw a lot of comments on Facebook about Jay Shetty's presentation, is he was so amazing because it's not that his content that he had was so unique, but his delivery was perfect. Like that was probably the most perfect presentation I've ever seen anybody do. So simple, so direct, but every word was very, very well intentional.
Yeah.
And it was he just broke it down, right? Like,
Yeah, it wasn't. I mean, I was sitting there. I think I was sitting next to you,
yeah,
and I was kind of like, this
duh.
is pretty basic.
But again, what was his delivery? It was low cognitive load.
And it
Yeah.
was, yeah.
It was simple. It was simple.
Yeah.
It was brilliant. Nobody in that room didn't feel moved. You know, he had 10,000 people looking at him, and they were all just,
Yeah.
you know, and all he was delivering was little sharp stuff.
TIMES.
Yes.
Come on, how hard was that?
You know, here's the thing. Like, I really think, and this is a lot of companies. I really think a lot of companies do a really good job of telling you what they have, but they don't do a good job of telling you who they are,
Or what they offer.
or what they offer. Right. So they, you know, and frankly, I think that's a little bit of the problem with our company right now too. Is like, man, we have a ton of stuff. And like there's so many things that this company has, but I think what they missed in Family Reunion is they didn't say this is who we are and this is where we're going. You know, and I think you guys as
Like a
agents.
vision speech?
The vision
Yeah, the
speech
vision
was no
speech.
vision.
There was no vision. Well, it was, you know, you're
It
right.
was our vision.
It was basically, that should have been,
Report.
we used to have vision, speech, and state of the company. And the state of the company was like more of the, here's who we are, this is where we're going, this is what we're doing. Okay? And I think that's a good lesson for you guys too, for your business, is we spend so much time trying to figure out what we can give rather than who we are. And in fact, I taught a class over in the downtown office a couple weeks ago, which basically was how to write a vision statement for your business. And it was on AI. It was on ChatGPT. And I went in, and I think you guys should all do this. We went in, and I said, okay, type in, I'm a real estate agent in Littleton, Colorado, and I would like you to help me write a mission statement for my business. I'd like you to be my thought leader or thought partner and ask me one question at a time about what's important to me. And you go through it keeps asking you questions to clarify and everything, and then it starts to write a mission statement and then asks for your opinion, clarification, and then 30 minutes later you walk out with a mission statement for your business. And then you could say, okay, create a vision statement for my business. Let's talk about values. What are my values? And now you create that, and that becomes your bio. And that becomes what you put on your social media sites, okay? Because I think people are gonna be attracted more to who you are rather than what you have. And the best example of that, once again, is Zillow. What do they have? They have search, they have Zestimate, they have mortgages, they have all this stuff. But the reason why they've never been able to create a real estate brokerage or company is because nobody knows who they are. They're just this online presence. But people want to be connected and attached to people. People trust people more than they trust a website online. Okay? So I would highly encourage you guys to do that. I think there was only about 8 of us that we did that class. And I think 7 out of the 8 walked out of that class and that experience like feeling way better about their business.
Is that something you'd be willing to do here?
Yeah,
Revisit that conversation?
absolutely, absolutely. If Sean will ever put me on the calendar.
Good luck. Got a lot going on.
Yeah. Okay, and so,
You have a sponsor?
do I have a sponsor? I should get a sponsor. I'll wear their patch.
That's right.
So anyway, all right, let's move on. Let's talk about some numbers. How are you guys feeling about the business right now, or about how everything's going in the market?
Good. I mean, I think it's a competitive market out there with the whole spring rush. We just lost out on 2 properties with multiple offers this week.
Ooh, what price range?
1.1 and 5 in the 5s,
550?
Yeah, 5.
Okay. Multiple offer situation?
Yeah, definitely multiple offers over ask. So 1.1 got to 1.3 cash. I have no idea where the 550 number went because the agent did not communicate whatsoever.
Can I ask for these newer listings, like just on market?
Newer listings, yep, one down on market, one in Westwoods Estates off of 77th in Indiana, and just right over here off of Morrison Road in Kipling.
Okay, now let me ask you guys a
Good
question.
story.
So in the 500, 600 range, how many of you have listings in that price range right now? Anybody?
How many has 5 leads and hasn't called back? Anybody? No.
Okay. Here's the thing. So it's funny you bring that up because I was talking to an agent last week who has a townhome that was it's actually $425,000. HOAs were $105. Really good, right? He hasn't gotten a showing in 2 months. Okay. Now, it's in Brighton. Okay. Here's the thing. Is this market, is this become really, about little micro markets within a market? Because Brighton could be one of the most difficult ones out there right now. Castle Rock, I think, has been pretty difficult. Lakewood, Littleton, some areas in Denver, really good. Arvada, really good, right? So what's different about those areas versus the other ones?
More desirability, demand.
They're
People
close
wanna
to
be
the
there.
foothills, they're close to the city.
Yeah. Is it kind of hard, though, to put a price on desirability of area? Think about it. There's a ton of new construction out by the airport, Brighton, Green Valley Ranch, that area, and it's just saturated. But are there a lot of listings? I mean, your people that didn't get that $500,000 one, was there an option B?
There will be.
But there isn't right now.
No.
See, if you were in Brighton, there's option A through Z, right? But it's really come down right now to the desirable neighborhoods, desirable, subdivisions, cities, and it's literally 2 different markets that we're in. If you're practicing out in Northeast Denver area, you think the market sucks, okay? Because you can't get anybody to even show your property. But then you come down to Lakewood, or this area, and you're in multiple offer situations.
I think it's all relative, but what I'm seeing personally in the multiple offer stuff, scenario, there's a an ever-growing disconnect between the nicest house in your price point and the best deal in your price point. That's what's moving. If you've got 7 opportunities, it's the nicest one that's gonna sell quick or the cheapest one that's gonna sell quick. Everything in the middle, when we were in the high demand market, it didn't really matter how nice your house was, you were gonna get multiple offers. Now a house that's just a little bit outdated might as well be a knockdown in the perspective of buyers.
Yeah.
So anything in that middle field needs to be priced lower than sellers are wanting to have that conversation around.
Yeah.
I'm showing up right now at my listing appointments with the showing time stats for the neighborhood. This is the brackets where we're seeing the most showings. Here's the number of days on market on average, the number of showings to pending, and the number of showings to pending, days on market, and showings per price point in that area.
Yeah.
Or in that range.
Is that big an Alex?
Where do you get those stats? No, I'm getting 3 of them are coming from RE Colorado, and 1 of them is coming from Showing Time. But I'm printing those out because I feel like everybody, what I've been asking when I'm going on listing appointments, hey, did the other guys you talked to, did they just show up with a bunch of comps? Because I have confidence that you can go online and see that stuff yourself. But these stats are a little bit harder to dig through, and this is what I think is most relevant. How many days should you expect to sit on market? Where are the showings happening in your neighborhood? If you're thinking about pricing at 800, but all the showings are between 750 and 775, why would you put yourself in a more difficult position, right?
Yeah. You know, the thing is too, is like the advice that I gave this agent in Brighton was I said, look, you know, at this point, your seller is probably starting to make a decision of whether they're going to rent it or take it off the market or what the, you know, what their options are. So I said, why don't you tell them to list it at 400? And he said, well, he doesn't want to take 400. And I said, but he doesn't have any options right now. You know, like if you get it to 400, maybe you'll get multiple offers. So I think like right now the strategy is you underprice and you let the competition raise the price up.
That's what we're seeing.
Yeah.
If you're priced at a more attractive price point, you get a lot more activity, and then people get attached to the outcome and they're willing to fight.
Yeah, but the other thing is, it actually may naturally happen this time of year. Did you guys expect this? Going from January, here's the average close price, to February. So it went up $25,000 average close price. Did you expect that?
I think, yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
The spring's got seasonality.
It happens every year,
Yeah.
right? Now let me ask you a question. When these houses, so these houses all closed in February, right? When did they go under contract?
January,
When do you think those houses were listed?
October.
Down here maybe? Well, down, let's see, what color are we here? We're orange last year. Down here maybe?
Average days on market in January.
See, those houses were priced last fall or early winter, right? Okay, and then they went under contract. So now we're looking at prices of where they were, you know, stuff that closed last month, right? And so what do we expect to happen in March? What's happened every year?
Goes up, peak up.
It's gonna go up. So you're in a good spot right now. Like, I don't think you can overprice a house right now. So that's good, okay? And I don't think you can underprice a house right now, because if you do, then you're gonna get multiple offers, okay? That house, the house or the townhome, did it sell for, or go under contract for more than asking?
Both of them did.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, they weren't town, they were single family.
Single family.
They both went over asking.
Okay? The problem isn't here. The problem is here. That's where the pricing issue really comes in, is because we price, you know, if we list a house like in here, then we're pricing it based on what's sold here. And then we know that this is gonna just keep going down throughout the year. So like, at this point, you're in a pretty good spot. If you can get listings right now, you're probably not gonna overprice them. Now you could, obviously, if you do the math wrong behind them, but odds are, if you actually know how to do a CMA and you look at all the stats and everything and you really evaluate them really well, you're probably in a pretty good spot. Okay? I mean, honestly, this is another lesson from Family Reunion. Literally nothing has changed. Okay? The market basically, it's still on average going up 4% per year annually, plus or minus 4 or 5%, which is not a lot, okay? Right now we're in our 4th year of a stagnant market where prices haven't seen a double-digit return or a double-digit increase, okay? That's only happened 3 times in the last 70 years, where we've had 4 years in a row where we didn't see prices increase. The last time it really happened really was, 2008, 2007 through 2011, okay? And so we're kind of like to the point now where something's got to give. There was another stat that was online that showed that nationally they track the last 12 months of closed transactions every month. So January, they go back 12 months. February, they go back 12 months. March, they go back 12 months. And they take that number, the cumulative number, and we finished the year at about 4.1 million closed homes nationally. But there was a month during last year where that rolling 12 months was 3.8, which was the lowest in like 30 years. And so there were some tough moments last year. Now, unfortunately, Gary and NAR and everybody else is predicting that it's going to basically be the same this year as it was last year, around 4.2 million closed homes. So that'll be 4 years in a row where we were 1 million homes under what the average is nationally.
It's closer to
5.2. Right. So something's got to give at some point. Now, will it happen this year? We don't know. But the reality of it is it doesn't really matter. Because, really you're not competing for 4.2 million, you're competing for the number of deals that you personally want to get. So if you personally want to get 25 deals this year, you just need to go figure out how to get those 25 deals and not worry about the 4,975,000 that everybody else is competing for. That's not right. 4,909,900 whatever the number is. Can't do math this morning. Okay? You just need a game plan to get what you want to get. And not really worry about this or anybody else. Because the deals are out there. And opportunity never really just goes away, it's just seized by somebody else. So the key is, are you going to be the one to get your opportunities and seize somebody else's, or is somebody going to take yours? How many of you have had a house on the current block that you live in your neighborhood where you live, or building that you live in, that was listed with somebody else this year? How good does that feel? Somebody seized your opportunity. That's the perfect example of it. Those people are literally the closest people on the planet to you every single day, and we didn't get those deals, right? So maybe that's the first strategy, is you go out and you build relationships with those people. Condos? I mean, this looks like, a 5-year-old's artwork.
Or Sean's.
What color are we? Are we red?
Lowest in the last 5 years. Lowest average close price in the last 5 years.
Do you attribute that to HOAs?
I mean, when you got a $425,000 house or townhome in Brighton that's 2 years old, it has a $100 monthly HOA. Is it the HOAs?
I haven't heard that kind of number. I've got a client who bought a $270,000 condo. His HOA is more than doubled since she bought 5 years ago.
Yeah. Well, it could be. But there are other properties that you can get where that didn't happen, right? So what's the problem here? Who buys this place? $415,000 attached single family condo townhome. Who buys that? Who said first time home buyers? Okay. First time home buyers. Which, by the way, is at the lowest percentage that it's been in years. I don't remember the number, but 21%.
17%.
Yeah, it was really low, right? So, $415,000. How much does it cost to get into that place? 12 grand. I think it's a messaging problem. I don't think it's a value problem. I think it's a messaging problem, because the reality of it is, if this person is going to wait, okay, to buy this, that's $325,000 more, right? I mean, practically double the cost. How many of you at some point in your life lived in an attached single family? Okay. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with starting there? You just have to start.
What's funny is I tell the story to some of my clients is the first time I tried to buy a house, I tried to get qualified for, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage. And I went out with a real estate agent. We went to her houses. And then she's like, well, you need to get qualified. So she gets me qualified, and I qualified to $35,000 because I was working at Bojo's at University Hills. And she's like, it's okay, I can get you something, let's go out. So she takes me back out. The key was she got me back out, right, in the car. She didn't just say, well, there's no houses. She's like, let me go show you something. So she showed me the Plaza del Lago condos in Edgewater. Remember those?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it was this little. I mean, that condo wasn't as big as that kitchen. Right? It was so little, but it was $35,000. Right. And she's like, "Look, I know this isn't ideal, but you can get in it. You're already." And I was living at 14th and Wolf, in like next to the tapping and dodging bullets, every day. And Plaza del Lago was better, right? Edgewater was better than where I was at, because I was at Colfax and Sheridan. And I was like, I could never live in a place like this, blah, blah, blah. Well, it was like 3 years later, after I got a job with her, and I worked with her, but 3 years later I bought my first house, at least 2 years later. Had I bought that condo, I mean, that Plaza del Lago condo would have made a killer rental for me.
Yeah.
Like, that's
Maybe like
hot.
maybe like a 2-year-old new construction townhome in Brighton for $425,000. You probably can get for $4
Yeah.
with $100 a month HOA.
Or
If you want
3%
to live
assumable mortgage on it.
Here's the problem with that. That's the problem right there. Okay. The problem is like for some reason people have gotten so attached to where they live. I mean, listen. What about Sean? He did not live in a great place. Okay. I didn't live in the best place when I first got my first place. Okay. In fact, Mikkel, my wife, she bought a $90,000 condo, like way down south, and it was not a great complex. But like, you got to start somewhere. So it's either there's a trade-off. It's size or area, right? You don't get a nice, big, brand new, pretty place in the best area, but we're not communicating that really well. You just have to start somewhere because you can't buy your second place until you bought your first one. And the fastest way for you to build equity is to own something, right? So the reality of it is like, is this going to get any lower?
Right.
But if it does, and maybe it goes down another 20,000, does that really matter if they're going to live there for 3 or 4 years and wait for it to go back up? It doesn't really matter. If they want to sell it the next year, it definitely does. But they also have options like renting it, like Sean said. Like I bet you, like most people that have been around as long as Sean and I have would tell you that if they had to do it all over again, they would have never sold any house that they ever bought. Right, Kevin?
I second that.
Yeah.
House on Dartmouth is worth about $550 that I bought for $12,000.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I had a mortgage on that.
Yeah, Mikkel and I had this little crappy townhome down south Littleton before we got married, and we sold it for $200, and that townhome just got listed for $650. And somebody would have been paying that mortgage, and we would have been cash flowing. I mean, that's the message I think that you need to tell. And I think if you're in the older generation like Sean and Kevin, then you're telling your friends or your past clients and talking to them about their kids. Because the average first-time home buyer right now is like 40 years old.
Yeah.
Those people aren't kids anymore. What a great gift you can give to your kid to give them the $12,000 or $13,000 they need for a down payment to get their first townhome and be able to build equity for 15 years before they buy their first home at 40. See, like, our problem isn't inventory, it's not social media, it's not like all the things you guys think of it. The problem is it's our messaging. The messaging is the problem, because I go online and I see all these influencers saying, rent, don't buy. But you know what, you guys? On social media, influencers, they don't get noticed if they say something normal. They only get noticed if they say something extreme and crazy. But people like listen to what they're saying and they go, oh, well, I'm gonna rent. What financial person on this planet would give that advice to somebody? Unless they're, a stockbroker, right? I mean, what's that?
Jim Smith just wrote an article about the benefits of renting a couple weeks ago.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's just crazy
Yeah,
talk.
I
Did
was
he
like,
flip it though, or did he like title it one way and flip it the other?
Nope.
Oh.
Interesting.
Did I hear Grant Cardone did this, he did the same thing?
Why?
He loves renting.
No. Yeah, he
I
loves-
guarantee you Grant Cardone owns a ton of real estate.
Oh, he does.
That's what he does.
What's that?
That's what he does.
Yeah.
But it says that he rents and then he owns investment properties.
Yeah, isn't his pitch to buy investment properties though? He's still buying it, he's just renting his primary.
What
Well,
property is
here's
an
the thing, though.
What
I don't know
property
what
isn't
that
an
is.
investment?
Yeah.
I mean, who on this planet
It's time.
would, like, where does that make sense? Like, who, would say that? I'm gonna buy investment properties but not own my own. I mean, it's just crazy talk. So our messaging problem is, that we're not showing the benefit of somebody getting into that. And by the way, that's average. And if you look at the median, okay, half or higher, half or lower, take out the top 20% and the bottom 20%, that means there's a lot of properties for sale that are attached single family that you might be able to get into for $300,000.
Yeah, it's funny because like you kind of made this point last year, okay? But I think the argument last year is that the market is going to continue to fall. It was my argument about buying condos, but I think the argument now, like with that direct line down, we might not be at the bottom, but we're probably going to be pretty close. So even if you're not buying today, you need to start paying attention right now because remember when those condos on like 36 or 287 and 285 in Sheridan? Where is that? Down there next to where rich people buy them. Those things you can buy those condos for 30 grand. That was not too long ago, right? Like that's going to be the opportunities that can start showing up. Yeah, the HOAs are going to be high, but the prices are going to fall, and you can be able to buy them.
I think that's what's going to have to happen because that scenario right there is $3,600 a month with $350 HOA. First time home buyers, if you're a single person, how do you do that? Like I think that's hard. And I think that's going to be the challenge. I have a condo down in Littleton for sale right now, and I see more people downsizing, looking at that. So steps are, and not a lot of young people looking at it.
Well, but here's the thing. So what you laid out, you might be right, okay? And then there's the $400,000 townhome in Brighton that's $100 a month, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so like the thing is, it's like, I think people have to get over this idea that they have to have the best.
Sure.
And by the way, you think about it, it's funny, like my 18-year-old son, we were out in Connecticut last week, and he goes to school with a lot of people that have a lot of money. Manhattan, Eastern Connecticut or Western Connecticut, and like he's surrounded by all this money. So we were parked at the rink, and one of the wealthy families drives up, and they get out of a Dodge Ram 2500 pickup truck. Now I know this family literally has hundreds of millions of dollars. And I said, I'm really surprised they didn't get out of like a really fancy car. And he said, Dad, they all drive these like really beat up trucks and beat up cars. Okay. And like, I don't know about you guys, but I didn't get a ton of financial advice from my parents growing up because my parents didn't have a lot of money. They were teachers. And so we had what we had. It wasn't like there was an option to have something nicer. We were very comfortable, but we didn't have anything super special, right? And so there's probably a lot of kids out there who've gotten the opposite advice. Because where are they getting their advice from right now? Social media.
Instagram.
Yeah, because everybody's driving the fancy car. Everybody's got the fancy clothes. And it's funny, Sean and I, we were giving Sean crap about his clothes, at the beginning of this, right? But the reality of it is, you don't keep clothes anymore for a year, right? You basically, you wear them for a couple months, and a lot of us, like me, you keep them in your closet, but you never wear them again. right? So we're this generation, this next group of people that are the first-time home buyers, they're being taught some bad financial advice. Well, that could be your job, to teach them good financial advice, because you may say they can't afford $3,000 or $3,500, but I bet you they have a car payment that's probably $800 to $1,000 a month. Yeah.
You know, Brian, the other thing that I've seen is there's a lot of communities that are stigmatized inappropriately today. You know, like you keep talking about Brighton is literally 18 minutes from downtown. And people think it's out in the boonies. And they think it's, you know, halfway to Greek. Well, maybe it is. But it is, but it's so close. And you know, Thornton, you know, was like way out there, and you know, nobody lived in Thornton. The building going out there is phenomenal. So that's the other thing. Some of the opportunities that are just outlying a bit are $150,000 of opportunity, just moving to the outer of the burbs.
Yeah.
Not moving a long way. That's the other thing that's hit me real hard.
Well, and here's the other thing. That's a great point, Kevin. And here's the other thing, okay? If people aren't going to believe that it's a good time to buy or that they should rent instead of buy, well, guess what? Then you guys should buy. So the conversation turns from talking to, you know, somebody who has kids that should buy their place, their first condo, to saying, oh, your kid needs to rent a place. Where does he want to live? I'll buy it and he can rent from me. Okay? Like there was an agent that I worked with, I mean, this is 20 years ago, and that was his strategy. He just talked to all the people that were in his database, and they said, you know, do you do rentals? How many of you guys have gotten that question lately? Do you do rentals? Okay, and you guys probably said no. You guys, the answer to that question is, oh, where do they want to live? How much do they want to pay? And then you go buy an investment property and you rent it to them. Because what this person did that I worked with 20 years ago was they would take the person out that wanted to rent and go look at the listed houses, and they'd say, which one do you want? And then the agent would buy it and rent it to the person. Okay? Because one of the hardest things to do about owning rentals is actually having a renter. But if you already have a built-in renter, go show them property and go buy it. Just do the math. Figure it out. Okay? All right, let's talk about active listings. Did we expect this? Probably, because it's happened for 5 years in a row. You know, active listings, our numbers are way down from what it was last spring. What do you think is going to happen? Inventory is going to increase. And by the way, part of that has to do with seasonality, but the other part of that has to do with our messaging. How many of you sold a house in December? Raise your hand. Okay, do people buy houses or sell houses in December? It always amazes me where some of these like people that claim that they're statistics people and can predict when the best time to list a house is, when the reality of it is, number one, their data size isn't big enough. Okay. Number two is like, how can you predict whether there's a buyer out there for your house that you're going to list at that given moment? You can't. Like when you list a house, the first weekend is when you get the most amount of houses or most amount of showings, right? So you know there are people waiting for a house to show up to be listed. Every month, every week, every weekend, every day. So I'm telling you, do not believe this hype that some of these people put out there where they say, this is the best weekend to list a house. It's not true.
If you keep selling houses during the slowest time of the year, you'll be the only broker out there selling houses. You'll get the move percentage increase.
That's right.
And if you keep working, you're going to make money because nobody else is going to. The people in the market really want to go ahead and buy.
We buy into our own like head about when is the right time, what's the right price, when's the right, you know, I mean, like the reality is there are buyers out there right now in every single neighborhood that are waiting for a house to be listed in that neighborhood. And that's the message that you should hear, okay? And then once you list it, then you determine whether you're priced right or you're not, okay? But the reality of it is now everybody else is listening to the hype, and this is gonna go up, so now there's more competition. So, you know, is it better to list during that time when there's more competition? I mean, it probably balances out with the number of deals of closings and number of listings. I mean, it probably balances out. Just more people are gonna do it during this time, but there's more competition. But then you get to the leftover people who didn't sell their house during that period of time because they overpriced it or the condition wasn't right. And these are the people that see the price decreases for the rest of the year because they didn't price their house right, didn't sell. Pending sales. That number just, ugh, I hate seeing 3,000s. Better than last month. It's still pretty low, okay? This is that 4-year cycle. I mean, remember, 2021 is not on this graph anymore, but remember what 2021 looked like. It was way up here, okay? And so it just feels like it's really low. But we kind of somewhat created our new average over the last 4 years because it's been pretty consistent for number of closed deals. So you're competing for that. If you want to do 2 deals a month, you're competing for the 3,637 deals that closed, well, that went under contract last month. Doesn't mean they all closed.
So 7,200 sides.
It's a lot of deals.
Yeah, get out there and put it.
And you know what the thing is? It's like being a weatherman or being a real estate agent are the best 2 jobs in the world because you don't really have to be that good at it. Because the weatherman basically predicts, it's probably right less than 50% of the time, okay? And the real estate agent only needs to get 2 out of 7,000 deals. That's what's so cool about it. If you get 2 deals a month, 24 a year, it's pretty good living. Or 4 deals. Go get 4. Okay? That sounded like a toilet flushing. Okay, supply.
Glad you can make yourself laugh.
High level supply or high supply. Days on the market. Kind of like, I mean, it's probably obviously affected by the inventory. I think these are more conversations that you guys need to know these numbers so you can set expectations. Okay? For example, is it realistic that you're going to list a house that's going to go under contract the first day with multiple offers? I mean, some do, but I would probably set the expectation that it won't happen rather than actually the expectation that it will.
I usually find it's whatever the opposite of what the expectation I set. So I say, it's going to be a while, and it's frickin' sells. And you're like, it's going to sell fast, and it takes forever.
Yeah. Well, and you know, the reality is like, honestly, I mean, under promise, over deliver, right?
Right.
So just tell them up front, 60 days. You're going to probably take a little bit less than our list price. And we may be asked to provide like closing costs. Setting expectations so the first time that they hear it isn't the first time that you're putting a contract in front of them. I think that's really important that you have that conversation. And what about inspection stuff? I mean, everybody's asking for everything now, right? Showings to pending. This was back when every listing was getting a ton of showings. Now you're fighting for them. Here we are right here, last month. About the same as last year. So really, I guess the message is, it's the same thing as the last 4 years. Right? So you guys should be used to this market now, right?
tired. Doesn't mean we like it.
You got these slides off the land?
This is land, yeah. Like
Okay.
we're gonna get them from a different source here in the next 30 days.
Our previous standards, we're in a normalized market right now. It used to be that you would expect a house on the market for 60 or 90 days. If it didn't go that long, you underpriced it. And I'm talking back into the 80s, 90s, into the early 2000s. We're in a normal market.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. Like, remember I started out by saying, depends where you live. Okay? Lakewood probably feels pretty good to you guys right now if you're selling a lot of houses in this area. Arvada, the west side of town. But if you're on the east side of town, how does that feel? A little different. A little different. But, you know, if I was going to think of a strategy, because like I said, is I'd be going out and buying those houses on the east side. People who are first-time home buyers, people who are investors, because it's all going to even out at some point. And real estate over a period of time always goes up, okay? And so you figure if we've had 4 years of it not going up, then that's 4 years that we have to make up at some point. So at some point we're gonna see a year where it goes up 10% or 15%.
Aren't we just pulling out of that though?
Yeah, but history will repeat itself. Okay, and you're not going to have a crystal ball, and you're not going to be able to figure out exactly when that is. So if you're off by 6 months or a year, you're still going to be in pretty good shape. The people who are going to lose are going to be the people who say, I'm going to wait. Because those people, if they wait, you know, the only way that they're going to know whether they did it at the right time was after it happened. There's nobody that can predict it. I mean, there's, you know, I don't think it's even rates right now, to be honest with you. I don't think that's what's holding people back. You know, like, that's what we've been saying for the last 4 years, but the reality of it is rates improved, but the market did improve. Do you guys remember a couple years ago? What was the interest rate a couple years ago? What's it now? I saw 5.9 last week. Yeah. So we were waiting around and saying, oh, interest rates. Nobody's buying because of interest rates. But interest rates went down pretty significantly, and the market didn't change. So it really isn't interest rates. It still comes down to your messaging and your conversations with people, and whether they believe you or they believe the person on Instagram that's trying to get attention and likes. All right, thoughts? Comments? Yeah.
Question, Marcel? Who's gonna do it? Are you expecting this condo like to start appreciating? We're going down. I don't know when it's going to turn, but I think that's the issue of having first-time buyers is it's going down. So how do you time it?
Yeah, you don't. You don't time it. Okay, so like, you know, in any investment, it comes down to a lot of luck, right? Because like the people who bought houses in 2007, okay, and then the market went down went down 40% at one point, okay, but eventually, 10 years later, it recovered. So that was the worst of the worst, right? So like all you're seeing here is fluctuations of, it's not even 10% over 4 years. So like the highest the condos were was like 450 and now it's at 415. So what is that? That's a little over 5%, somewhere 5, 6, 7% they've gone down. They've been pretty steady, okay? But over time, over a period of time, you know, it's gonna go up 4%. So you're gonna have to make up that time at some point. For 4 years of it not going up. Is it lower?
Isn't it lower? Like, is it single family like 4.5% or condos like 3.5%?
Well, I mean, you know, at the same time, it's like, you know, 1% difference on $400,000. I mean, that's not a lot. That's not going to make or break somebody, right? Like honestly, I think what you tell people who are questioning whether this is the right time or not is you just say, you know, you're never going to know until after it already happened. But if you don't get in the game now, then there's no way that you can win it. But if you get in the game now, the best thing that you have going for you is that you have over time that it's going to appreciate. And so if you don't want to sell it and take a loss, then you wait. And there's two ways you can wait. You can pay your mortgage and live there, or you can rent it and have somebody else pay your mortgage for you. So which one do you want to do? Because over time, it's going to go up. In fact, the funny thing is, like, you look back, like I've told the story about how the first house I ever sold was in Washington Park on Corona Street, one block off the park, and it was $126,000. And I thought, why would anybody buy this shithole for $126,000? And that house is worth $1 million today.
I looked at a house in Bonnie Ray, and it was, I think it was $375,000. And I thought the same thing. I was like, oh my God, who would ever know?
And here's the thing, 20 years from now, that house will be $2 million. It'll probably be more than that, okay? It's going to go up. You have periods of time where real estate goes down, but over the long haul, it's gonna go up. Just like any stock, just like any investment. And really, you know, the best thing you have going for you is all the other stuff. It's the tax benefits, it's the equity, it's the, you know, it's all the things that you get. It's the fact that it's yours. And the best thing is having somebody else pay your mortgage off for you. Because there isn't an option in stocks for that. Nobody's going to give you money to invest in stocks. Yeah.
If you look at the chart, sales are going to stay the same, and still the same 3-5% of the brokers are going to be out there doing the business, and the other 95% are going to be wringing their hands. 80% of them aren't going to sell a house a year, not even one. 3% will sell 2 or 3. And I mean, it's always the same people. Go over and watch Allie over here. She's working as hard as I've ever seen her, and I've been watching her for 30 or 40 years. So just don't worry about it. Just go up there and sell houses.
Just go find it.
Because it's going to be the same.
And tell your story and get your message straight. You know, because, and by the way, like, you can't go wrong because you have history behind you. Like, I don't know if I told this story the last time I was here, but you think about it, like, who were the top technology companies in 2000?
Top what kind?
Like technology companies. Like when you went online, who did you use as your web browser? Yahoo, where are they now?
Circuit City.
Circuit City? Okay. Blockbuster.
I relocated all the Circuit City people and they went out of business here in
Yeah. I mean, you had AOL. Somebody did email me a couple weeks ago. They had an AOL email account. And I was like, I didn't even know AOL was even around.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Do you have AOL? But here's the thing. You can't predict what the companies today, even Google. Google will have a shelf life. Okay? There's not very many companies that go on forever. And so if you invested in Google today, you have no guarantee of what that's going to be worth in 10 years because there'll be a new Google, just like there was a new Yahoo, just like there was a new AOL. Okay? The companies come and go. And by the way, big thing now is they're all buying each other.
Even home builders. Back in the 80s, Syntex came to town. We didn't have Lennar. We didn't have D.R. We had Wood Brothers. We had what eventually became Richmond Homes. So even in our own industry, I started with Jim Sheffield, Sheffield Homes, Realty World Sheffield, and Scott Perry and Butler. This company, and nothing, I mean, this company can be absorbed by somebody, and I hope not. I pray not. That's why I'm here. So it all changes. Find some old guy that's got a Rolodex on his desk and have him thumb it or their cards. I mean, I did that a couple years ago. I found 100 cards. There was only 2 cards that were still good out of 100 people. But
you know,
if you're still there selling houses 10 years from now, you're still going to be making money if you were.
Pontiac, okay, Nokia, like all these companies, BlackBerry, like there's no guarantees in anything, you know, but in real estate, you actually own something. Okay, any other thoughts? Everybody understand the stats. What's the message then you're going to deliver to your people about what the stats say now?
Today's the day.
Okay. What else?
pricing conversations with the state clients.
Yeah.
Trying to price right. Let's capture as much as possible. That happens through traffic. That should.
That's right. By the way, that's another big thing. There was a discussion point at Family Reunion. This whole pocket listing thing. There is no scenario that makes sense that says that somebody can get a higher price for their home if they have less people see it. Okay? You guys need to get really good at that message. Because, like, you know, here's the thing. I don't know if you guys saw, but Compass just had an agreement, created an agreement with Redfin that people will be able to see their pocket listings on Redfin. Okay? They totally just shot their own agents in the foot. Because you go on Redfin, what's the message on Redfin if you're a buyer? Work with us and we won't charge you as much. Okay? How do you think the Compass agents feel about that? Say now they're in competition with discounters because they're allowing them to show their pocket listings. I mean, what the hell are they thinking? It's crazy. Yeah. The best case scenario for every seller is to have it in as many places as you possibly can. Okay? So more people see it. More people see it, more people will want to check it out, which creates more competition. There's no scenario where it makes sense to have less people see it to make more money. I mean, it's crazy that they're even trying to fight that battle. But, you know, you also have a company that is very company focused rather than agent focused. And I think that what you're going to see with that company moving forward is they're going to turn agents into order takers instead of fiduciaries. And that's going to be really unfortunate for all the agents that are there. Okay? Like, you know that you're an agent focused company when everybody's marketing looks different and everybody has a different way of doing business, and the logo of your team or your individual person is bigger than the logo of the company. And you know you're company focused if your company's logo is the biggest and everybody's marketing looks the same. And I think agents better wake up.
How many times have you seen discount brokerages got out of business? I remember Kim Grice in the 70s, and he's going to do it for 20, 30% less service and less value. They're gone, and they'll be gone in 10 years.
All right, guys. Thanks for coming. I'll set up that class on writing your mission statement, and then you